Miller Lite time. Who's had a couple?
Always. I had some the other night. I had some on when we trivia Barstool River North.
You know what's really weird? I woke up the other night in the midst of a deep slumber, and I was dreaming about Miller Lite, and I woke up and I went to the fridge and I had a Miller Lite.
In the middle of the night?
Middle of the night. It hit the spot. You know, sometimes you need to wet the whistle.
One of those things.
One of those things.
It is my favorite summer beer. It's the only thing that I will like make sure I have in my fridge. I'll make sure. Like if it's like, I'm running low, I better get a backup case. I just always have them around.
I saw you guys talk about Dave's fridge last week.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Did you like that fridge?
I liked that there was a Miller Lite in there too.
Well, it's such a Dave fridge.
Yeah.
That's such an Uber Eats first overall pick fridge. A guy who loves slugging the cold ones.
It had all the essentials in there.
17 different dressings. A lone 12-ounce can of Miller Lite, though, the emergency can.
That's the emergency can. That's the one I just
got an
drank.
emergency can to make a
always
fridge?
gotta have it.
Yeah.
Always gotta have it hidden. I live with a couple buddies, so can't show them the stash.
put a
You
little-
can't have Sean come home after a long day of work dipping into the emergency stash.
Can't have it.
Put a little tape on there. It just says Eddie, this property of Eddie.
You got it.
Yeah. There you go. Where can they find, if someone did steal your Miller Lite, where would you go to find more?
MillerLite.com/redline.
There you go. How about MillerLite.com/Chicago style? We got events coming up. We got one.
Let's go.
We're leaving Redline to go to the Wiener Circle today. It's National Hot Dog Day. They're doing a promotion with Miller Lite, and that promotion, they're going to be doing this all over the area through August 23rd. And it says here the first 500 guests will receive a free Vienna beef Chicago style hot dog at these various locations. So make sure you guys are checking that out, MillerLite.com/Chicago style, and you'll be able to find all the event detailers and the real retailer information.
Hot dog.
Hot dog.
That's why I looked at Ed. He says
It's
it like
an East Coast thing. It's a
Hut.
Did I say that?
You did.
Hot
Dog.
Hot dog.
Well, you guys say it fucking crazy.
And then, as always, next time you're getting ready to enjoy some cold rooms with your crew, go to MillerLite.com/redlines to find the delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Chicago sports fans. This is Barstool Carl
And what's
Chief.
Eddie.
This is Redline Radio, an all gas, no break Chicago sports podcast brought to you by Barstool Sports Chicago, brought to you by Miller Lite. I'm doing this show with, I think it's a sprained wrist. I fell off a scooter in Los Angeles. That just is going to happen if you ride scooters.
I wiped out in college on a scooter.
It's going to happen.
Ooh.
I
Bad.
was leaking blood coming down just all over the place. I dapped up Joe Musgrove. He walked away with a little bit of Mike Stirk blood on him. So,
There you go.
Gross.
Anybody else suffer an injury recently that we want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really want to talk about
Well,
it.
we were talking about
What?
this before we
Yeah.
got
Broken
here.
spirit.
So no, I've been trying to get ready for the Checklets Cup, which starts I leave tomorrow. So I've been doing a lot of rollerblading. I rollerbladed from my place up by Wrigley, almost all the way down to Navy Pier, and then was coming all the way back, and I was probably 60 yards from my front door. Ankle just like exploded.
Oh, no.
So
ankle.
like it's the same ankle, surgically repaired ankle. So that was tough. I would say, and then it recovered after 2 weeks, and I went to go play a little pickup soccer with our guy Sam's Army, Mike Flanagan, and decided I'm gonna like what?
One, you just docked him. Two, or was my invite.
Yes.
You're not. He's out there now.
Sam?
Is that confirmed?
Yes. I talk to him all the time. You guys are not friends with him. I am.
I'm
He's
friends
fine
with him.
That is
not as good as me. I saw
That's
him.
a bold turn in this
Yeah.
conversation.
Anyways, I didn't dox him. He's out there.
Okay.
And I blasted the ball downfield as hard as I could. Hip flexor just like exploded. Like I
will
like,
say
could
this.
not walk on. Like that was Saturday morning. I couldn't walk right until like Monday.
Ed, what do you got? What do you got? Like turf toe? You ever get turf toe?
He's got-
Playing at
he's
St.
got the-
Pat's, the Belmont boys up on the
Plantar
turf?
fasciitis. You know what Joakim Noah always had?
He had microfibers.
Yeah, I had the plantar fasciitis. I don't have it right now, but one time I had it, I had too many steps in Vegas.
That'll do it.
Do you know what
Yeah.
White Sox Dave has? I heard a rumor. I saw it on a message board. Dave has dead arm.
Oh, no.
No.
He recovered.
I did recover. It's fine now. There was a little scare with the rocket attached to, the right side of my body. I go to the dog park every day with the dog so I can tire him out, and he just leaves me alone the rest of the night. And the park I take him to, they load it with tennis balls. So when he's darting across the park, I'll lead him like a quarterback, and I'll just, I won't put any juice on it, but I'll throw it, and I'll just hit him in the back of the ass, and he'll, run around, chase the ball. And it's just something fun for me to do while I watch all the dogs run around, and I threw one, and I'm like, fuck, that hurt. And then I tried throwing another one, and it was just like, it was not good. It was to the point where
calcium buildup.
I thought I might have done something. It wasn't hurt. It was actually injured. But it's good now. I'm back to chucking tennis balls at my dog at the dog park.
We talked about this before. We need you to get Tommy John.
Just to
It's almost like a science experiment.
like a 30 for
Exactly.
30, like a
To see,
What
so I throw
happens?
91 now, like,
if you throw 94.
yeah.
Well, and I think it would make you a better baseball guy because then you'd be able to talk to Tommy John.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
once Dave's had it, then Dave can be the expert. It's like, oh shit, so and
I
so's
mean,
having it.
it might-
Kopech's having it again. We got to bring in White Sox.
It
Dave.
might just become Davey Will. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just might become Davey Will surgery. You just never know.
I love the idea of coming in here and watching Dave try to blog with one hand as he's like in the in the sling.
Well,
that's
the
a-
testimonial content
Yeah.
too, with Dave just sitting in a phone booth and like, rehab's going pretty well. Ed was.
That's why I wouldn't
today.
do it. I wouldn't want to deal with any of that shit.
That's why I don't
Sorry.
go to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor. I almost died. I had to go for that. But
Yeah, I have to go when it's life or
yeah,
death.
I had some kind of, it's gross to talk about, but I had some kind, I woke up with like a very sore throat, and like an hour later I like could barely breathe.
What was this?
This was probably like 2010,
Oh, damn.
I had
and
somewhere right around
like went to the emergency clinic and I couldn't talk. I had to like write like what was going on, and they said if I had waited another hour, they would have had to do like emergency surgery. So they were able to give me some kind of thing to like make the swelling or whatever that growth was to go down, and then I was on steroids. But it was like I was scared.
Was this before or after the Hawks Cup?
I would guess that it was after.
That's good, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you did have to go down, at least you got a couple.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Obviously, you just got back. You like just landed, so
Yeah,
thanks for hustling over here.
appreciate that.
Um,
Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying things.
Yeah, of course. We did the rundown. I want to ask you, did you see all the reaction to the All Star Game and how cool it was with the mic'd up and everything like that? Did you feel like it would have been a better experience staying home and watching on TV?
Oh, so that's definitely one of those things where the entire event of itself, like we're locked into that now, is such a cool event. But at the game itself, the cool part is seeing, I mean, it's just like you just look at the lineup and it's like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, man. All the guys on the field are literally just the best. It's
All-stars.
That's so cool but in the context of, like I'm conditioned to 7, 8, 9, Darwin Barney, pitchers hitting, shit like that.
Larry
where, like,
Garcia. That's
it's
fair.
just sick when it's just like 3-hitter, 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 3-hitter. Jeff McNeil hitting 9. Like, what the fuck? That's sick. Obviously, the environment, Dodger Stadium's amazing. But yeah, dude, I did not cover that game at all in the capacity of like being a contact guy on Barstool. It was more of like once the game started, it was kind of like vacation mode. Like, all right, fine, we can finally relax and like watch some of the game because most of it's just run around. The schedules are pretty hectic.
But did you enjoy that or Monday better, the Derby and the?
It's a great question, Ed. I think I enjoyed Tuesday more because Monday there was some anxiety of like I want this to go well. We were not really sure, like, is this guy, like, somebody moved an interview around, another guy had to reschedule. So the part of that's personal.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, but
All of it.
the home run derby, dude, that's like I said, it was like hockey. Like I watch a hockey game on TV and it's like, oh, okay, it's a big game. You go to a hockey game in person, you're in the second quarter, you're like, what? How much are season tickets? You're just in there. The in-personal experience is just so much better than watching on TV. That's how I felt about the home run derby. I was like, fuck, man, if they could, because if you watch the home run derby, it's just back.
Yeah.
And they throw it so fast, you can hardly keep up in person when they're swinging where the ball's going. So on TV, the production guys, they don't know what they're cutting to. If there's a ball that's just about to land in right field and they're pitching, how do you cut back and forth? And so they lost count of like Schwarber shit. But the environment's crazy. The security at Dodger Stadium's wild.
Really?
They got people guarding like you couldn't get in the outfield. So I had to Photoshop tickets on the spot. It was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
And got Cooper Ariad out there. Here's a good story for you. They signed some of the balls they hit at the Derby. So like Juan Soto hit a foul ball into our section. Our producer, Colin Cooper, got it.
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool.
And it's autographed in the sweet spot by Juan Soto while he's
pretty
hitting.
fucking sick.
Oh,
legit.
that is cool.
So he's like, hey, Cooper, here, you can have the ball. Jake's 10-year-old son comes. And he's like, holy shit, it's signed. And Colin was like, I'm going to take that back.
No way.
Yep.
That's even worse than the fucking guy we were talking about on the rundown, like elbowing
Did
kids
you
and
see
throwing.
that video?
What?
That video went viral of the guy.
He hasn't seen
Yeah,
it.
probably not.
Yeah.
You probably
Yeah.
know the
There was like this
Autograph collector, some
48-year-old
Oh,
guy.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that was...
That's just a weirdo. You can't give a little kid a ball and then take it back.
That's
That's like,
So that was pretty funny. That was funny. But he held on to the ball. I mean, it was a sign. He was like, I'm sorry, I would love to give this ball back to you, but like, I don't have any memorabilia. And he's like, no offense. You probably have a bunch of cool shit from your dad. And we're just going to leave it at that. Later in the night, the red carpet. So Jake and Cooper are really into opening cards. And I spent like hundreds of dollars on it. I pulled a Mike Trout autographed relic card or something.
No
It's worth like
shit.
$1,000. Yeah. First pack, they're like, holy shit, dude. So I don't think I'll be buying any more packs.
Did you
go out
keep
on
it?
top.
Yeah, it's here.
Oh,
I
nice.
brought it home. I have
That's
to like
awesome.
figure out what to do with it.
That's
But
sick.
Cooper's like,
Fucking
don't sell
sell that
it.
shit.
No, because he's like, it literally is only going to go up because it's Mike Trout. So
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
no, I don't think.
I feel like-
I think
I feel
everything's
like
gonna
we're
crash.
in-
I'm a millennial. It's
I
all
feel
gonna
like
fall
we're in
apart.
a card bubble again. Like it's like
yeah,
a cool
it's
thing
gotten,
for
it's hot again.
yeah.
So we're like,
But I feel like people will decide in like 6 months. Be like,
Yeah, but it helps they're doing it right now and they're only printing a certain amount.
Yeah.
Whereas some
they got
fucking
oversaturated before.
jagoffs in our day. They just
Fucking
started,
inflation,
Turn
man.
on that fucking press and keep printing them.
Yep.
yo, you're gonna love this. There's gonna be a video that comes out on, on this. Rob Manfred and I ran into each other on the red carpet, and he didn't fucking hesitate to dap me up, throw me some love. What's up, Carl? I'm like, yo, people don't believe that you and I watched a baseball game together. And he's like, looks right in the camera. He's like, whoever doesn't believe that, this my guy. Gave me a big hug, big smile. I'm dying, man. Rob Manfred.
Does it, I mean, it doesn't offend you that he's using you to like win the people a little bit? Because that's what he's doing.
I know, Dave. No, I don't know, dude. I don't want to get into that. To me, I just want to keep it nice and simple and be like, the commissioner of baseball
Yeah.
knows who I am.
For sure.
You know, this guy could be rotten. I don't think he is rotten. So we're on the same red carpet. This was really cool. Cooper wanted to get an autograph from Aaron Judge. And we're like, Aaron Judge ain't coming to this thing, dude. And sure as shit, Aaron Judge shows up like right there. And you're like, he's so big. And Cooper's got his card out. And he's like, Dad, I want Aaron Judge to sign this card right now. And you only have like 30 seconds until he's up in front of you. So that 30 seconds, Jake and Cooper spent the time arguing about whether or not they were going to have, if they were going to break the case to take the Aaron Judge card out and have Aaron Judge sign on the spot. And I was like, why don't you just ask Aaron Judge what to do? And so Aaron Judge walks up. He's like, what? And we're like, they're arguing about whether or not they should break your case open. And he's like, let me see the case. And he freaking sits down and he's like, yeah, I wouldn't break this one open. He's like, I can get you more valuable stuff. He's like, are you going to be at the game tomorrow? He's like, why don't, he's like, Jake, can you get in touch with our traveling secretary? He's like, I'll just get some stuff to you. But he's like, dude, Coop, do not break this case open. And he was like, all right. And he was like, gave him like a big pound, winked at both of us. He was like, you guys have a good night. And then we saw him later in the party. But that was super cool because to live some of that stuff, having Cooper Arrieta around as a 10-year-old being like, yo, I want to do this. I want to see this. And how excited he got, like, pinch me moments were really cool.
Forgive me if I'm ignorant, but break the case like fucking like there was a guaranteed judge in there.
Yeah, no. So
I don't
if you
understand.
walk into a card shop, they have great question, Ed. If you walk into a card shop, you know they have like those thick, clear plastic cases with the card in it.
Yeah,
And then those are
yes,
authenticated with
yes.
the red label with the sticker and the
Yes.
numbers on top.
Yes,
So it was one of
okay.
those like he bought it from like a collector. It was like a
Gotcha.
collector rookie card.
It was
thing.
already graded and shit.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have a value on it. And so then the question was like, well, if he touches it and signs it himself, and then it's like, well, it's not authenticated. It's like, well, so I don't know any of this stuff. It was super cool because they were like arguing about what to do about it. And then they have Aaron Judge
be the
like,
arbiter.
nah, why don't you just keep that in the case? Another cool thing, the Yankees went out together and I was like in the club with them. Travis Scott played the show for like 300 people. And I'm like at a table with the Fanatics guys, and there's the Yankee table next to us. And dude, it's Nestor Cortez, Giancarlo, Judge, Trevino, all the dudes just balling out, couple handlers, pretty girls, wives, whatever. And some like regular Joe is just chewing off Stanton's ear. yo, you're my favorite. And the way the Yankees kind of circled this guy and like got him out of there. It was really fucking cool to see that. And Harden and Embiid had a table like next to them. It was a very unbelievable, surreal kind of Monday night like red carpet event that Michael Rubin put on with the Sixers.
That's sick.
And like one of my best buddies, who you guys know, Ryan Bays, works for Fanatics and like in a high level and was like throwing the party. So when we got done with the media stuff that we got set up with through Barstool, they're like, hey, do you guys want to go to the party? And the other media people are like, the wristband's not good for the party. And Bays is like, don't worry, like, let's just go. And so Cooper Arrieta was like, dang, can we stay and watch Travis Scott? I was like, I'll stick around for you guys. So yeah, and then anybody who follows, I was like bleeding profusely on my wrist to start the day. So that was kind of a creepy exchange. But all in all, dude, great trip.
That sounds like it.
It was
does sound like it.
That's awesome. Loaded thing, and we got 2 cool interviews coming out. Dave, we talked to Liam Hendricks. He like filled in last second, and I'm telling you, man, I think the White Sox are gonna smash people in the second half. He just straight up
get him
talked
on
about
soon.
the players.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be easy to come and talk more about. Yeah. We only talked about the White Sox specifically for just like a couple minutes. It was more about like pitch grips and kind of evolution of relieving and stuff. But he had a couple nuggets in there about the White Sox we can talk about in a second. And then Boris gave us like an hour.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
was like I had to like at the end of the interview, straight up at the end of the interview, I shook his hand and he was like, "Dude, I really enjoyed talking baseball with you." We had a little moment and I had to like turn the corner because I was like uncomposed. It was the coolest. Scott Boyd, it was the coolest thing.
Damn.
He's just a fucking.
He commands the room. When he was standing behind Soto in that in Soto's like media hit that he did you see that? He's just standing there. They're asking him about like what he thinks if he's going to get traded, turning down the extension, blah blah. And Boris is standing behind him, kind of like those backdrops that they have. He was kind of like on the side of the backdrop, and he's just standing there with his arms folded. Like you could tell that he had coached up Soto on every single thing to say. And I think that
could you imagine advising Juan Soto right now? We tried it. He wouldn't talk about it, but it was like $450 million. $450 million.
It's a lot of money.
Guaranteed.
Call out the Ricketts.
I hope he doesn't. Oh no, never mind.
And did you know he invented the opt-out?
No, really.
The first contract ever used was A-Rod, and we got into the history of opt-outs. Why'd you do that? And he said, "I'm sick and tired of players hitting free agency again when they're 34." You get a guy that hits it in 26, they should hit it again when they're 31. You got a guy that hits it in his mid-20s, late 20s. I just could never figure out why. Just getting the history of that.
That's fascinating shit.
Speaking of opt-outs, hopefully Carlos Correa opts out.
He's definitely going to.
Right?
He's definitely going to.
Before we do this, do we have an ad read? Let's read an ad read real quick.
We should talk about Innovative Care. Everybody knows the drill by now. If getting your ADHD medication is a total headache, it's time to switch to Innovative ADHD. Innovative is a real medical clinic. It's not one of those online-only refill services. They're based here in Chicago, and these are real medical providers you can trust. You'll definitely want to use them for ADHD management, but you can also turn to Innovative for other things related to primary care or urgent care. Nobody has time for the extra doctor visits. Simplify your ADHD management with Innovative. After your initial appointments, you can see your provider virtually through telemedicine. Telemedicine visits save you time. Get online, get your medication refill, get back to your life. Innovative ADHD accepts insurance for evaluations and medication refills, and their workers are compassionate and kind. They also remove the frustration from ADHD management. It's actually easy to get appointments and refills with Innovative ADHD. Go to innovativeadd.com to sign up. You must be a resident of Illinois, and they do take insurance. A lot of other places don't do that, so that's important, and that's what sets them apart. Trust us. You'll definitely want to use Innovative Care.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, so we have Chris Castellani is going to be joining us. He's in the green room virtually. So let's get Chris in here and talk a little baseball. Obviously, we like Chris a lot out of the Chicago office. He was in town not too long ago. We got to spend a little bit of time together. The Tigers fan, I don't even know how much I have to introduce Chris Castellani. I just know we have diehard Chicago people that listen to this. And Chris, a good dude, good people from Barstool, and we're pumped to have him join us.
Sneaky becoming one of my favorite people,
Yeah,
I think.
he is.
just super nice.
Well, we got to keep Chris in check, though. I do
he's
think
on.
we got to keep. Yeah, he's
Okay.
here. I don't want to let Chris's ego get too big. He comes in with the chain already. Soto had a
Chain, nice
Soto
fresh
pitched a clean
haircut.
inning last
This is how how it starts.
He's away from Tigers draft picks now. He's onto the Tigers team. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, man? I mean, if there's one thing you have to worry about with me, it's definitely ego. It's what people say about me.
You know,
all the time.
it started with the chain for Jeff D. Lowe, Chris, so I'm worried.
Hey, is that a
That's
Lou?
probably where it began. But,
Is that a Lou
what's up,
Whitaker
guys?
autographed ball behind you?
Oh, what, this one right here?
No, not the football, you banana head. The baseball over your right shoulder or
It's
left
actually.
shoulder.
Oh, I'll tell you what. This is. Oh boy. Now this is actually going to feed into the ego. This was like 15 years ago. Some kid asked me to sign a ball for him, so I just wrote Chris C on this fucking dumb baseball. It's probably worth about $10 at this point, but yes.
Wait. Why do you have the baseball if he asked you to sign it?
Kid's dead.
I don't
This is
know. I
like
think we ended up
backwards.
playing. I think I was like 12. I think we ended up playing catch with it, and then I went home with the ball.
It's the only ball
So he
Chris
asked you
owns.
for an
This is like
autograph.
Sandlot. Chris, welcome to the show. Let's get into let's get into some baseball stuff here.
I'm
confused.
more
Hold on.
fascinated with this story.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
I need closure here.
He signed an autographed baseball to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to believe in yourself, man. Yeah.
That's true.
No.
Do you believe in the Detroit Tigers and Al
No.
Avila?
No. I mean, look, I've watched this team. Look, truly, you guys see me. If you've watched my post game videos, you've literally seen a man flail and die for the last like 90 games, right? I mean, this team, it's not the worst Tigers team I've ever seen. Not even probably not even top 3. It's the most demoralizing to me
for
because
sure.
I mean, look, I think that this team had understandable expectations this year. Like I had them at 83 wins, which is like 6 years into a rebuild. I think that's pretty that is beyond reasonable. Everything that could have possibly go wrong has gone wrong. It is very clear that ownership and management are not carrying their weight. The roster as a whole is either injured or remarkably untalented. They have one good thing going for them, and that's that they have a rock solid bullpen. Other than that, this is a team that is on the verge of trading assets and probably doing, going into tank mode once again, which breaks my heart. But when you watch this team play, they're not even close to being close. Like last year, 77 wins, I think. And I was on the show. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this team, not good, 77 wins. Nobody's going to throw a parade. But you see assets that make you believe, okay, with a few good moves and good luck and health,
And
you
development.
can make and development, obviously. You can make something happen here. Will it be enough to win the division in 22? No, probably not. But enough to make the playoffs in 2 years, maybe win the division in 3 for sure. They've gone backwards. They've gone substantially backwards, and we're at a point now where I'm thinking it's, we're on the verge of rebuild number 2. Quite frankly, with given what they have or actually have not gotten out of some of these big prospects.
So what about the AL Central in the depth here? Because we talked just before we brought you in, we were thinking like, all right, well, Correa is probably going to opt out, right? And
He's
the
going.
White Sox are. I know, but I'm saying it in a way that's kind of like
Not definitive.
And we're seeing cracks with the White Sox this year. Not to say that they're not going to bounce back next year or whatever, and they're not solid and that roster is not good, but. Maybe at the start of the year, you would have said the White Sox are significantly better than what they've shown, and maybe you look and you say the Twins are. Obviously, the Royals are several years away. In the Indians, toil and mediocrity. I mean, is there any realistic look at your division that gives you some hope that the Tigers have a better opportunity to bounce back?
I mean, I hate to do the doom and gloom thing, but right now, no, because every other team in the division has shown that they have the ability to develop homegrown talent. Unless you're going to build through free agency, which nobody does anymore, and the Tigers have not shown the ability to really spend the way that we would like them to, you have to develop through your system. And this is a team that right now is, I'm not going to say incapable, but they haven't done it over the last decade or so. I mean, all these big prospects, many of them injured, right? Like Mize injured, Manning injured. But Torkelson just got sent down to the minors. I'm not giving up on him. But you look at Cleveland, a team that traded away all-star talent 2 years ago, is already ahead of the Tigers. I think until Detroit proves that they know how to develop homegrown talent, this is where they're going to be. The last time that this team drafted a player that made the all-star team as a position player was Alex Avila, Al Avila's son. And that was 11 years ago, guys. I mean, this is a team that has proven time again, they just can't develop through their system at this point. So until that happens, I think they're going to continue to wallow in, I'd say, mediocrity. I wish it was mediocrity. It's below mediocrity.
It's unfortunate, Chris. I remember tweeting you about a month back. I think Sox and Tigers were probably playing each other, and after the first series of the year, where I got into it with a lot of Tigers fans.
Yes.
I was looking forward to the back and forth that we could have this summer, and it just hasn't. There hasn't been. I mean, you can't just contrive not a hatred, but like a rivalry between us because the White Sox have grossly underperformed. I expected the Tigers to be about what the White Sox are right now, about 500 this year.
Yeah.
And then next year would be the year that the Tigers push for the playoffs.
You guys were hoping to hate each other, but you really just hate yourselves.
It's exactly
Yeah.
it. And it's
Yes,
unfortunate.
I hate my team, right? I
It's
mean, I love
unfortunate.
them and I hate them. No, you're completely right about that. And that's where if there's one thing at Barstool in which I felt like I really kind of overshot my hopes, it was my opening day video. Because I'll be real. When we rallied against Hendricks multiple times in that ninth inning on opening day, I'm like, we're here. We're in this shit. We traded for Meadows. There's no way he gets vertigo, COVID, and 2 injured Achilles. No way that happens. Javier Baez, well, he's not going to swing at every pitch in the dirt again and again and again. He has. Everything's falling apart. Pitching has gotten injured. So, no, I mean, I'm with you. It's been a remarkable disappointment. I mean, if this is the first full Tigers season since I've started working at Barstool, and it's like what people don't understand if Tigers were 500 right now, my fucking head would be spinning like the wheels of a fucking Schwinn bicycle. I'd be doing cartwheels, man. The fact is, I want to get to a point where I'm creating good content with the Tigers, but you are at the mercy of how your team performs.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I feel like you probably feel the same way with
Definitely.
the White Sox right now, where it's like, what are you giving me? Because
The
every night's the
Bears?
same story.
I'm not going to put a T-shirt out on the fucking White Sox right now because who's buying that
Right.
shit? We're all furious with the team, you know?
I will say, Chris, you had one of your post-game videos. It was probably within the last 10 days that I saw it that I was like, you were so miserable, but I loved it. So I think you are creating good content out of a terrible team. But because I was like, this is so funny because he's so sad.
It's good for what it is. What people don't know, prior to Barstool is I've been doing this I started doing these post-game videos in 2017, and every year they're bad. I've never talked about a good Tigers team. Like, I get people who ask me in person and on social media, what are you going to do when the Tigers get good? And I say, I don't know. I haven't seen it since I've started creating content. It would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, you're still able to create good content, but the deeper it goes, like by the time you get to August, like it's football season.
Gets
Like
tired,
people who need to be checked out are going to be checked out as they should be. This team is so far underwater at this point. There's really not a whole lot of reason to watch.
Yeah, and then you turn your sights to the Lions and all that great winning content.
Right, and all that hopefulness that's coming.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the All Star Game, Chris. Obviously, you watched some of it. I'm sure you enjoyed some of the festivities. Not obviously the Tigers representation you want. Do you have a take on why the AL wins these games all the time, but then struggles World Series?
This was my theory. I was talking about this with my dad last night in terms of why this has happened. My theory for a long time, and I think this will change, is that because of the no DH rule in the NL, I think that American League teams built through, big power bats for a long time. Now, by the time you get to October and a National League team, which typically, a team like the Dodgers or, the Braves last year with that great bullpen kind of builds through their pitching, I think that in a vacuum in the middle of summer, a lineup that's loaded with guys like Ohtani and Judge and Vladdy Jr. and Stanton is more equipped in a one-game scenario to beat a National League team. I think over time that's going to change because obviously we have the DH in both leagues right now. But also, it's so long that I hate to put it this way in such simplistic terms, but I do think there's just ebbs and flows with these things. There was a long time, if there's something to compare it to, there was like a 20-year stretch where the NFC won like every Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then there was like a 15-year stretch after that where the AFC won almost every Super Bowl. I think that we just go through these cycles. I do think it'll change, but I think in the modern age, where it's at is just the fact that I think that the American League and American League teams do such a good job of loading up on bats as opposed to National League teams, which I think are built a little bit more around pitching.
Did you have any take on Dodger Stadium as a venue? I know they're going to be out in Seattle next year since they're loading up Pacific time zones. Like, any sense of vibes starting the game 5 p.m., a lot of sunsets, or like what was your kind of take on the environment?
I mean, I thought it looked beautiful. I know that is interesting though, that we're about to have 3 straight West Coast All Star games with Colorado last year and obviously Seattle next. I thought it looked beautiful. I think that is one of the best things Major League Baseball has going for it right now.
It's
actually,
the
are the
best
All Star
thing.
festivities.
Yeah,
I think the home run derby change, the format change that started in 2015 is electric to me every year. I think it's great. I think it's the only all-star game in which, and I know it technically doesn't matter anymore because of the home field advantage in the World Series, but I think that it's the only All-Star game that we have right now, maybe hockey as well, maybe. I'm not a huge hockey guy, in which like there's actual effort. It's not like the Pro Bowl where guys are, it's basically flag football or the All-Star game, which is just a glorified dunk contest in the NBA. Like I think that there is something cool about the fact that you see guys who, especially in smaller markets, maybe don't get the credit they deserve showing up in the All-Star game. Like, I think Seattle is a solid market. I think there's a lot of baseball fans, casual baseball fans, who weren't familiar with Julio Rodriguez until this week. Now he's about to become a star. Now, a guy like Sandy Alcantara, who I think is having one of the best pitching seasons we've seen in the last decade, last night throwing 99, just blowing it by guys. I like that. I like the idea that we can put these guys out on a major stage, especially at a place like Dodger Stadium, which is so historic. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it's you bring up a great point that like they do a better job with the All-Star festivities.
Yeah.
But it's baked into that, right? So I guess moving away from the All-Star game, second half, do you have like some guys on your radar that are going to make a run here? Do you have any like Cy Young or MVP guys you're like, you know what, no one's talking about this guy and that pisses me off?
Well, one guy, I've been high on this guy for a minute. I think there's a legitimate possibility if he continues, and I just brought him up, if he continues where he's at, that Sandy Alcantara would not just win the Cy Young, but win the MVP. I think he's having a year right now that is reminiscent to me of the year that Verlander won the MVP in 2011, where and we've had great pitching seasons, right? Kershaw won MVP in 14 and DeGrom did his thing for a few years there, but this guy is averaging 8 innings a start over his last 13 innings. I mean, or last 13
he's going to be the last guy to ever sniff 200 innings, I feel like. One of the last guys.
But he's going to shatter it. He might pitch 230.
Right.
Like when you think about it, I think Corbin Burns, and I know he missed some time on the IL last year, pitched 167 and won the Cy Young. I mean, this guy's gonna boat race the guy that won the Cy Young a year ago. I think that's a possibility. Run support will probably have something to do with that. In terms of guys getting hot, I mean, I think that again, the All-Star break, may him becoming a star could have something to do with this. But since May, Julio Rodriguez has been one of the best players in baseball.
He's so fun to watch.
I was high on the Mariners coming into the year. I picked them to win the division. I take that back. Obviously, the Astros, I think, are the team, but they've won 14 in a row. They have not made the playoffs in 21 years. Their pitching has found it. Robbie Ray's found it. Pretty good rotation with Flexen and Gilbert there. And then you have that offense with J-Rod. And what I like about a player like that, even though he's a rookie, I like the fact that he has protection. You have somebody like Ty France there and Raleigh and Winker, who are guys that are kind of coming along. So I think that bizarrely, the All-Star game festivities and the All-Star game itself may be indicative of the guys who are going to get hot in the second half of the season because of the team that they have around them and the protection they have in that lineup.
Mm-hmm. Well said. I like that. Dave, you got anybody
that's going to be hot? I mean, KFC said this the other day. The more I age, the more I'm more hyper focused on just AL Central baseball as opposed to baseball as a whole. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Sandy Alcantara's stats right now. I had no idea he had a sub-2 ERA.
Bro, he's averaging into the 8th inning.
It's absurd.
He averages taking
absurd.
the mound in the 8th inning.
I'm put on the spot here, but Spencer Torkelson. We got to know Tracy Smith a little bit. I still talked to Tracy Smith, was his coach at ASU. And when Torque went 1-1, I was like, hey, what's the deal? Is he better than Vaughn? And he's like, dude, he's better than Vaughn. And I going through the whole draft, because that was the last draft the Sox were going to pick high, was with Vaughn. And I was like, that's the guy I want, because I was watching him hit when he was at Cal, and I'm like, please be available for the White Sox to take him. And when Tracy Smith, his college coach, was like, Torkelson's, first of all, he's a psychopath. He refuses to fucking fail. And I'm sure you've seen, I saw it in one White Sox series where he just went crazy, and I love that after striking out. Two, he uses all fields. He's got his feet wet. Obviously, wasn't anywhere close to what anybody expected. He grossly. Now they sent him down hey, clear head, kid. You got the All-Star break. Yeah. Go and tee off on some lousy AAA and quadruple A. I hate that 4A pitching, and get back up to Detroit and no pressure, dude. The season's already over. Go and do what you can do. And I really think he's going to be a superstar. I watch him hit. He's just he's trying to do way too much right now. Way too much. And once he realizes you got to let the game come to you a little bit and slow down and stop being such a crazy person in the batter's box, I do think he'll be a perennial 335, 100 RBI, 900 OPS that plays good first base defense. Like, I think he's going to be a stud. And I think it's going to start to click in the second half.
I'm definitely not giving up on him, nor should any Tigers fans.
No.
Because quite frankly, I think that the bigger issue here is not Spencer Torkelson. It's the organization that developed him. Because I'm with, dude, a lot of people said that this guy, the best, college bat to come out of the draft in like 20 years. Mm-hmm. You don't go from that to batting, to having an OPS like in the 500s in your rookie season. Something is getting lost in the translation. I hope that he goes down, he fixes himself. He's had a lot of bizarre, like just strange numbers. I want to say maybe this changed, but like through the first 2 months of the season, he had the worst batting average in baseball on fastballs down the middle, which just makes me think that there might have been some sort of block there. He just wasn't seeing the ball the way that he should. I still believe in him. I still think the intangibles are definitely there. You don't go 1-1 on accident. And right. I know the draft is probably more of a crapshoot than people let on, but I think
definitely is.
But if he's not getting developed, that's the issue. If you guys aren't developing
they didn't
guys
think
for
there was
10 years,
development needed. But then,
like, if he's missing fastballs over the middle of the plate like that, and he's hitting that bad, then you got to start thinking: are they developing this guy to look for the breaking ball? Are they developing?
Exactly.
It's like now you're getting into stuff where it's
that's a mechanical issue, which typically is much more easier fixed than a mental issue. And when it comes to approaching how to attack a pitcher. So
yeah, I mean, you probably know more about that than I do, but I think it's very interesting because you brought it up earlier. Him and Vaughn had a very, very similar makeup as players.
Exactly,
coming
right,
out of
for sure.
West Coast first baseman, tall power hitters, and it took Vaughn. He wasn't even that bad last year, but it took Vaughn probably about 2-3 months until he really became what he became.
Yeah,
he was good in the second half.
He was really struggling to start the year. Then June and July, he was the best hitter on the team, and then he hit the rookie wall after 100 games. In the last maybe 6 weeks of the season, he was you could see bags under his eyes basically. But now he year 2, he's been outside of Jose Abreu. They're by far their best offensive player.
Is there a number for young hitters like that where it's like they have to have a certain amount of at bats and then they're supposed to
even out? I would say
figure it out.
I would say, there's no
because there is
calculation for it,
cliches like that for hockey.
I would say there isn't one, but for me, I would say, hey, give him 600 plate appearances, which is about a full 162 games worth of plate appearances. Torkelson will figure it out. He's going to be an offensive force in the Central. He will, and. I'm sure you see a ton of it. He's a bust. He's a bust. Dude, he's played.
Yeah, I don't agree.
The only thing that could slow him down would be if he's just got, if he's a booze guy or something like that. Because if you get drafted first overall, you have an OPS. He slugs 800 at Arizona State. It's he's gonna be fine. It's just a matter of how good can he be is gonna come down to development, to coaching. Like I said, if he's missing fastballs over the middle of the plate, and the staff and stuff can't get that figured out in the next, like Dave's saying, 600 plate appearances ain't too shabby. That's probably.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, no, I'm with you almost entirely on that. I think something's gotten lost in the translation. I feel bad for him. I also think one of the major issues, so much pressure, especially with this organization. They have part of the reason, outside of Illich being cheap, part of the reason why they haven't spent on a ton of bats is they've been under the impression that Green and Torkelson were going to be the guys from day one. Why spend the money? We have 2 generational bats. That's a lot of pressure to put on a guy who 2 years ago was, sitting in a college, a dorm room. I think that's maybe gotten to him. I hope he finds it. I really do. They need him, and he seems by all accounts to be, have a good mental makeup. So yeah, still rooting for him. I'm not done with him yet.
You gonna ask about Javi Baez now?
No, I mean, Chris. Now that even more time has gone by, I just I hate to do this to Dave, but any part of you makes you think that the White Sox should have maybe considered AJ Hinch a little more over Tony La Russa?
Yeah, that's one of the most bizarre oversights.
Hinch did fuck up that game against the Sox pretty badly, I thought. I forget the exact specifics, but I was like, what the fuck is Hinch doing?
You could see Dave's nostrils flare when you asked that question.
Dave's AJ Hinch has messed up a few. AJ Hinch is not infallible.
No manager.
At the same time, there's a huge difference between something that in hindsight looks bad.
Right.
Steven Strasburg won World Series MVP. The Nats signed him to an extension, and he can't stay healthy. Like, of course, in hindsight, you say, what a terrible deal. But in the moment, I remember that I was still working at Speedway at the time, and I got the update on my phone as I was taking out the garbage that you guys had fired Renteria. And immediately I went, fuck. And everyone on Tigers Twitter said fuck because they knew that is a substantially more appealing job, given the fact that they had made the playoffs the year before, and they had this core with Robert and Anderson and all those guys. And we thought it was a surefire, no doubt, slam dunk. AJ Hinch is there, and when I believe it was
general manager fired Renteria and said, "We're looking for an analytically inclined mind to lead this team," and everyone's like, "AJ Hinch is available." He's talking about AJ Hinch. I think AJ Hinch thought he was getting that job.
I do too. I know for a fact, and he said this, that 30 minutes after the World Series ended, Al Avila called AJ Hinch asking him about it. And I do believe that. I think that is the truth.
For sure.
I also think that he was probably waiting for a call from another team because he was in high demand. He was going to leverage the offers. Like, I have no problem with that. And they just never called. And I think it was Passan was the first to report, like, Tony La Russa is in the running for, the White Sox job. And it reminded me of a couple of years ago. It was one of the things, like, you remember a couple of years ago when that rumor started that Condoleezza Rice was in the running for the
Browns?
Like, yeah, like that's. I thought it was like one of those deals where, okay, well, this is going to fall through. Like, maybe they make him a part of the organization. I mean, it didn't work. That was one of those things you knew right away. Like,
great,
this probably isn't going to go well. Now, I still think that there are probably issues on that team that are deeper than just the manager. You've talked about him. Like, it's an unathletic group. At the same time, there is something to be said about a move that in the moment does not make any sense to anyone except for the people that made the move. So, yeah.
I don't think it made sense to the people that technically made the move other than the owner.
That's fair. They just did it. Yeah.
And Carl, you brought it up in jest, but we should do the Javi thing. Just for the people that aren't watching this AL Central.
Yeah.
And Chris is, and he's saying this
I
guy
know.
every
So,
day.
yeah. So
we should do the Javi thing.
I did it as, you know where I'm coming from because I thought you were
For sure.
Okay. It's been easy. Of all the people to say goodbye to, I think Javi was by far the easiest. And then, maybe just because, of all the frustrations, maybe it's because, the skeletons that are in that closet in that clubhouse are like, whoa, Jesus. Yeah. I think it's mostly because, like, there's no boneheaded play. I mean, we don't have the electricity, but if you're not good, I don't really give a fuck about you swim tagging swim moving a slide. Like, if the team isn't good, I don't really have the capacity to care for or appreciate way he plays.
I get that.
I'm with you entirely. And there was a moment a couple weeks ago where he homered against the White Sox and he was rounding the bases and they gave him the belt, the wrestler's belt, and he was rocking the sunglasses. And I'm like, dude, great. Get the OPS above 600, then maybe we'll talk. Like, I don't really buy that. At the same time, here's my theory with Javi Baez, though. Is that he's not a bad ball player, and the numbers support that he's had a good career. He's made multiple All-Star teams. It's this most recent free agent class featured shortstops who are they're your one. Those are your go-to. They're your fear bats, your money beats. I think Javi Baez as a player simply works best as a second, third option in a lineup. The year you guys won the World Series, and he had that great postseason, a lot of great moments. I mean, he co-NLCS MVP that postseason, but that wasn't his team. That was Rizzo and Bryant and Zobrist. And even, you had Dexter Fowler leading off there, who had an all-star campaign that year. And the fact that you could put him sixth in a lineup and he would swing and miss a ton, but he would, slap singles and occasionally hit home runs, the walk-off hits. Like, he had some big moments. He really only had 1 year in which he was an elite player, and that was 18, where he finished second for the MVP. I think the problem is, and it's not so much a Javi problem, again, it's organizational. They went out and got Javi under this idea that this is your core guy. This is the guy you plug in the number 3 spot in your lineup. He's going to hit 30 bombs. He's going to drive in 100. And I think if he doesn't have protection around him, I think that he starts to fall apart. Now, he's been a little bit better over the last month or so. There was a period where he was, like, in terms of every metric, the worst hitter in baseball. He's not there at this point because he just chases all the time. But yeah, I think that's kind of where they're at with him, is that they expected that he would be this alpha. And while I think potentially, a very good player does add a lot to a team, to a good team, but he needs the pieces around him in order to succeed.
Yeah, he needs the peers too.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean that not necessarily from like a protection in the lineup standpoint, but from like an accountability standpoint.
Yeah.
From being in the dugout, being focused, caring about who's coming in. Like, you know, like, are they warming up a reliever and is Javi Baez paying attention to the reliever that's coming in and talking the game? Or are they warming up a reliever and he's using the opportunity to go run in the clubhouse, take a piss, and check his phone?
And that's why, right, that's why they should have just ponied up for Correa, because Correa is that guy. Correa is the alpha guy that like leads a clubhouse, that affects a culture, changes a culture. Javi as a player, good enough, had some great campaigns, just not that guy, and they expected him to be. And it's one of, I mean, he's not the biggest reason, but it's one of many reasons why the season has gone as sideways as it has for the Tigers.
So Correa is going to opt out, right?
I would believe so, yeah.
All right, and so when Correa opts out, what do you think? I think this is a fair thing to chop up a little bit. Like, what do you think is going to happen when Correa opts out?
It's a really good question. Well, this would be.
I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Trey Turner is a free agent after this year.
Damn it, you took it. Yep.
Were you going to say that?
Yeah,
You
I was going to
think they
say
pay him
Turner
$40
opts out. It's going to be one of those things where they're going to do, oh man, that former Astro going back to LA, you know, with the team that hates.
Yeah. They
They're not
just
gonna
booed
care.
him at the All Star
Turner's
game.
gonna walk. They're gonna dish out the money. Yeah, it's gonna be a huge AAV deal. Probably not super long term, but Correa's gonna get it, and he'll be the shortstop for the Dodgers next year.
Man. And Trey Turner was the starting shortstop and hit cleanup last night for the National League All Star team. So
Yeah. For a guy who's won a batting title and batted leadoff for a team that won the World Series, I feel like he borders on underrated.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
He definitely does. He definitely does.
Difference maker. Yeah,
and he's like one of the top 3 fastest guys home to first.
Yeah,
as a righty, which I mean is you're taking an extra step as a righty.
Right.
It's a harder, way harder, man. What else, Chris? Let's talk. Come on, catch us up, man. We're very interested in your presence in Detroit and how things are going.
Look, I love being here. I love traveling. In general, the cool shit that I do is all the cool Barstool stuff. Like, I mean, that's always been great. I love being here. I love seeing you guys when I'm in Chicago, and obviously going to Omaha was a blast. I mean, in terms of Detroit presence and stuff, I mean, look, I'm here and I'm doing my thing. I think Detroit sports, 3 of the 4 are on the up and up here. I think there's 3 competent GMs in the city of Detroit. Then there's, my team. But I think, generally speaking, I think things are looking up. The Pistons just had a great draft, and the Lions are, fingers crossed. I'm not getting my hopes up too high. Are kind of moving forward, and then the Red Wings with the eyes are playing. Seems like it's going smooth.
He might be the best GM in sports. Like, he's in that discussion.
People have said that, and so I mean, and it seems like they've drafted well. I said this the last time I was on as well. It seems like they're the team right now that has the highest approval rating as far as like they're the closest to really excelling. No, I mean, look,
not this year, next year.
For sure, but the expectations are also low. I don't think there's anyone who's like it's playoffs or bust this year.
Correct.
I think that that you get one more good draft, and then you have officially a core, and you can compete for a Stanley Cup. But no, I'm having fun. I'd like to get out more. To be honest, I wish the Tigers weren't so bad, because truly, I mean, that's the toughest part about this season is I had big plans. Like, we're gonna have. It's going to be a party at Comerica Park, and after game 20, it was a fucking funeral. So it's like it was kind of hard for me to kind of navigate through that. That's why I went to Omaha. Like, that whole thing, because Mitzi came up to me when we were at HQ for the Dozen tournament, and he was like, "Oh man, we got to get you to Omaha. It'll be great." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, that'd be great, but I got it. I'm kind of like with the Tigers right now, and it's going to be like tough." And a week later, we lost the game. I think it might have been that 13-0 game that we lost to you guys, Dave, where I was like, I am going to Omaha, hell or high water. And
get me out of here.
Yeah, exactly. And I became an Ole Miss fan for a week, and it was the most fun I had watching baseball in 5-6 years. So, I mean, incredible experiences. Very little to complain about, working here and getting to talk with you guys.
I would love it if next summer, like, you and White Sox Dave got in like the Nissan Altima and just drove around to every AL Central city and like stopped at Penn casinos
Chris,
along the way. Just make it a road show.
You hear that?
Yeah, there's a few. I got to get to more parks. That's my entire bucket list.
I say that I'm going to do that every year, and I never do.
Well, let's get in front of sales. We'll have Castellani and Dave.
It'll be like that Pat Tomasulo show with the 2 cops.
I think that would be great. I would love to. Like, and I do think you guys would get on each other's nerves at some point.
100%,
But you're like
100%.
like they're very nice guys, but they're like kind of like the odd couple. And I would tune in to see you guys travel, like you guys taking a game in Kansas City and then go to the casino. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
No, I
on,
do-
Chris. What else we got, or what do you got going on the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, well, I mean, today I'm just going to stare at a wall because there's no sports going
Yeah.
on. And then
What are any of us going to do tonight?
Yeah, that's fair. Is there
Fucking
what
talk to people? No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
right.
no,
Have social interaction? No, definitely not. No, I mean, it's
absolutely
like
not.
we're back at it. Hey, you know what, man? I bitch and I moan. I'm finishing this thing out. I'm doing 162 videos this year
I
for
love
this
it.
team.
I love it.
I'm not flaking with this team. I haven't missed
Respect.
one in 6 years. I missed one. No, I missed one last year when we did the Barstool tailgate show, Michigan, Washington. Other than that, I don't miss games. I'm compelled to do it. It's a compulsion at this point.
You're a
but
crazy
beyond,
person.
It's so many games for such a team that's been out of it for like a month and a half.
Do your numbers
it
go
was-
up or down on those?
typically later in the season they go down. Every so often
Yeah.
you have that one rant that pops, but it's a bizarre thing because back when I first started, the most popular ones were the ones where the team, when this was every other game, where the team would shit the bed and I would get super angry. Nowadays, people are so hungry for them to be good that like the opening day video popped. That was really successful.
Yeah.
And obviously Turnbull's no hitter, the video that like got me hired. So there's kind of been a change, but by the end of the season, especially once you get to football, dude, like I account for like 50% of the viewership by the time we get to September, and this team's 37 games out of first place. But you got to finish what you started. You got to complete the circle. Like,
Love that.
so we're doing that. Then hey, football's right around the corner. That's the one saving grace. Michigan football is still really good,
Yep.
and they're going to be quite good this year. I know they had a bizarrely tumultuous off season, but they have a really good team coming back. So for the fall, along with postseason baseball, because I just consume baseball like crazy. Like the Rockies and Padres could be playing at like 9:30 at night. I'm gonna watch it. That's just how I am. But in terms of Michigan-based stuff, Michigan football, Michigan State football, gonna be really good right around the corner with Mel Tucker. So I'm really looking forward to that as well, to get some positive content out there. Should be fun. And obviously still doing co-hosting Lights Camera Barstool as well, which I appreciate Jeff and Ken Jack and Gooch, who's killing it as the producer, doing a great job there. Yeah.
Beautiful, Chris. Thank you. You're the best.
Love
man.
it, Christopher.
Always great to chop it up.
Thanks,
dude.
Chris.
I love you guys too. I should be in Chicago next month, man. If you guys want to hang
Awesome.
out,
Yeah, I would love that.
Definitely swing by the office. Keep us posted on all that, because I missed you
For
last
sure.
time because I had the wedding.
Perfect.
So
Thanks, Chris.
All right,
man.
No problem, guys. Love
Thank you.
See you later.
So that's Chris Castellani. Love having him on the show. Anytime you get a chance to take the Chicago Chevy Land dealer, go check.
That's
I
what we should do.
I
we
love
should
going
just
to
get
Chicago
Chevy
too.
Chevy to do the
sponsor-
road show,
the road show.
the Midwest Road Show.
See, the thing
Just
about
Castellani and White Sox.
ChevyDriveChicago.com though.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
we're-
about
yeah,
that.
no,
no,
let's
no,
do the ad
So
read for-
that's what we're doing. We're doing the ad read. So when Chris and I are ready to do this road show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ChevyDrivesChicago.com. I'm going to pop in my zip code, and I'm going to look for the nearest Chevy dealership to go pitch their sales department on to give us money for the show.
Yeah, while you're getting your brakes on, everything like
Exactly,
that, and then maybe
exactly.
they'll get you on a sailboat, because that's the contest
we're-
right now.
Yep.
And you could sail from Chicago to Detroit. Pretty sure might take you a while.
You
but
would
I
have
think
to go
you
up
can,
Lake Michigan through Lake
Yeah.
Huron through
And if-
Lake Pontchartrain. That's
One
in
of those.
Louisiana.
Yeah,
All right,
no,
let's,
but if you go to ChevyDriveChicago.com, you can win a chance to sail Chicago, and it's sailgating. So they're going to charter a boat for you and your friends. They're giving away multiple boat charters so you can tailgate the lake this summer. Awesome contest. Nothing says Chicago summertime like being on a boat. Now Chevy Chicagoland dealers are helping you do that, as well as the Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. So check them out. Chevy Sail Chicago sweepstakes at ChevyDriveChicago.com. And let's get this Castellani White Sox Dave Roadshow going. Like
I
those
love
two
it.
guys just eating
I
hot
can't
dogs
wait.
in Cleveland. Like
I'm gonna get a call
I'm in.
from sales. They're gonna be like, "Hey, do you guys want this for starting 9?" And I'm gonna be like, what do you think, Dave?"
Absolutely not. It's me and Chris. We'll
No. I'm saying, look, never mind. We great. I would love that. I would love that. I would
Yeah, I
love
hope
for you
Chris has
guys.
his license, because we know you were going to pop a gummy and not drive.
That's my go-to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. The producer on that.
That's what he
is-
did on the way back from hunting turkeys.
Oh, really?
But I drove the full way out there.
That was the deal.
Right.
guys went hunting?
And then he got a speeding ticket on the way home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
I feel like
$380 for that fucking ticket.
Tough.
feel like we're at the point of the show where we should just play Whiskey Lullaby over whatever Chief is about to say.
Can we
Again?
do that?
Yeah.
He gave
More?
the side. You hear the side?
Yeah. Whiskey lullaby.
No Edzo. You missed that news?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's there's so many conflicting stories coming out. I've talked to probably like 15 different people that have direct knowledge, and I feel like I finally have like a clear understanding of how that deal went down. And it's like it's like Eddie is like a very like principled, like needs respect, needs to be treated the right way, and should be. And I would say that the initial offer that they gave to him was very insulting. Okay. And so then they just never really came back to the table. And ultimately it was a pissing contest between Jamie Faulkner, the president, and Edzo. And Edzo was just like, I'm not fucking doing this. And so he, sought greener pastures and left. And so I think the final thing that came down, but it was too late, was that they did offer him a deal that was probably good enough to stay, but there were other factors that I'm sure it'll come to light. But the last report was that they offered him a 5-year fully guaranteed deal after offering him a low ball 2-year deal. And he was just like, he had already been like too insulted, and reports are that Edzo and Jamie just don't like each other, and they kind of both stood their ground, and it's just like, this is something that never should have happened. You need Edzo, you need his credibility, you need to give the fans something that is familiar, especially if you're going to be losing Patrick Kane. There's going to be nobody that any fan has any sort of connection to in the organization. Nobody. Like, there's no players left from the good days. The broadcasters are gone. The players that you're going to have are not players going to be there when they're good again. It's just this weird period. And you could have had Edzo, who he's from here, played his minor hockey here, raises money for minor hockey here, got drafted by the Blackhawks, played his final game with the Blackhawks, broadcast. So it's like he was a fan under Arthur Wirtz, drafted under Bill Wirtz, brought back by Rocky, and left with Danny. And so he's got touch points the entire 4 generation of Wirtz ownership. And now it's like he's going to fucking Seattle. Like, it's just like disgusting. And it's one of those things where it's like, the thing I've said is that they need somebody in that room with Jamie and the brass to be able to stand up and be like, this is a terrible fucking idea. Whatever Edzo wants right now, because I know what he was asking for, and it wasn't like absurd. It was not absurd. It was something that they should have just been able to, like, hey, swallow your pride. We need this guy right now. He means more to the Blackhawks than you do. And while some of his claims one of his asks, I would say, is a little bit like, I don't love, but I won't get into it. I'm sure it'll come out. You just do it. Just give him what he wants. Let him do it. And then it's 5 years, and then you can reevaluate.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's like, that guy is, and they're squabbling over, well, like we don't want to pay him for the games he doesn't do, because he has a national deal, right? He has a national hockey. He does the Stanley Cup Finals. He does all the games during the week, so he doesn't do all 82 for the Blackhawks. He'll do 65, 70. So let's say. And they're like, well, we don't want to. So then they're like, we don't want to make him a salaried employee. We want to pay him. It's like, well, that's kind of bullshit too, because every time you're running a town hall or some kind of fucking outreach program where he has to be the MC and the face of the organization, they call him up and he says yes. And you want to have some sham committee to find the next GM, which was a complete sham. We'll put Edzo's name on it. And it was like that whole, like, so they use him for more things than what he's contracted for anyways. And he would continue to do it. So to squabble with him about what he would be paid for, like, the 12 to 15 games that he's unable to work because of national game conflicts, fucking just pay him. And it's not like, I know they're tightening their belts, and I know the money is going to be, they're coming out of COVID, money's tight. Money's going to be tight the next couple of years as ticket sales and sponsorships and everything will be down because the team is going to be fucking horrendous. That's their own fault. And I guess it wouldn't necessarily be Jamie's fault, but it's definitely, all roads lead back to the Wirtz family. If you can tighten your belt and the organization definitely got too bloated, and you can streamline and move money around. But if you are going through and you're doing your business plan, you're forecasting, and Edzo's on the wrong side of the ledger, you did something wrong. Fucking fix it. Get him back where he belongs, which is in the booth with the Hawks. And it just put, they're bringing in Chris Foster's. I'm sure he's a nice kid to replace Foley. They push Foley out basically at gunpoint. And so now you're going to have Foster's come in. He has an impossible task. You have Colby Cohen there, impossible task. They don't know what they're going to, they're reportedly searching for people to replace Edzo, so it won't be Colby Cohen full time. He'll be down between the benches or in studio or something. So then, but it's like, who do you get? I think they'll probably look at Troy Murray, but who knows? I'm sure they're begging Sharpie. I don't think Sharpie will commit. So it's like, then now it's like the season's 2 months away, and you have the one thing that, if you're looking at that organization, it's like, what is one thing that we do at an elite level?
The broadcast.
That's it. Everything else sucks.
Yeah, but wasn't the writing on the wall after Foley?
No, it was the opposite. Okay, and that's the thing that's going to piss everybody off, is that it wasn't the writing was not on the wall. It was Jamie Faulkner. He's at the town hall. Mm-hmm. He's part of our family. And then they announced Foster's as the heir apparent, and there's like this passing the torch. But don't worry, Edzo will be part of the broadcast. We love Edzo.
I mean, in the sense of like, you can't be that shocked. Or was it like, wow, you guys?
Well, it took them out
just when I thought you couldn't be any dumber.
Yeah, it's like when it's like the hits just keep on coming, and it's like, shame on me for taking them at their word that he would be back, and then it's like you're, and this is, you can say like they're going to tighten their belts or whatever. It's still a multi-billion-dollar business, and and I'm sure that they have probably lost money the last couple of years, but if you're going to look at it,
not lost money, not made as much money.
No, I think they probably, because of COVID, I think they probably lost money. Okay, I would guess that they lost money because it's not the same, because the TV money's not there the way it is with the NFL. When hockey needs asses and seats to be profitable.
Okay.
So if you have a full year, more so than any other sport, and so if you have and that's why the cap's not going up, because even though they have the big TV revenue deal coming in from ESPN, they're still so hurt from the COVID years because they couldn't have attendance. That it does really fuck the NHL more than other sports. Like, they need that gate receipt.
Do you think maybe, you tell me, this is just a question. Mm-hmm. The Wirtzes kind of have a McCaskey problem here, where it's like, you appreciate that they don't meddle as much.
Oh, that's a problem.
But it's like, but they're hiring the wrong people, and that they're who are making
right.
Like
Steve Cohen's just going into his personal checking account and just moving like
literally
$200 million over the Mets,
which is like,
well, it's.
Could be good both.
Could be a problem down the road for Steve Cohen, etc. But right now, in the moment, you're talking about like managing teams and organizations, and the McCaskies, where the McCaskies, they're only using the money they make off the Bears to pay for the Bears.
Yeah, the Wirtz have plenty of money.
I mean, in the sense of like, obviously, totally. Ted Phillips is the fucking Teflon Don,
right?
And then before, it's like, nope, we trust Stan. We trust Stan.
Stan and John.
Yes,
Stan right. So
John. That's now Jamie's. We put her in charge.
Right, and we're empowering Jamie, and she kind of. What I've been told is that she kind of has carte blanche. And to the point that I've heard this from multiple people now, I think I'll just say it, that there was kind of, remember they're going through the GM thing, right? Mm-hmm. And they had that sham panel. Okay, well, they basically said, here are the people that we want. And they got down to Kyle Davidson and Greenberg.
The Cubs guy.
Yeah. Okay. And he might be the smartest guy in the room. I don't know. But people say, people even like the hockey people that I know speak highly of him. He doesn't come up in hockey. He doesn't have relationships.
I don't understand that either.
Okay. So, but if you're going to have a guy to develop an analytics system, and Jamie is very analytically driven, and basically what I was told, okay, and maybe I'll have to issue a correction on this, but I was told that Danny wanted Kyle, Jamie wanted Greenberg, and ultimately Danny was like, all right, like you can, fine, hire Greenberg. And then Rocky came over the top and said, absolutely fucking not, hire Davidson. And then it was like, a mea culpa, not a mea culpa, that's not the right word, but like
coup d'etat.
No, but it was like we'll hire Greenberg as an assistant GM because he can't be the top guy. So Rocky comes, kind of like a Logan Roy, like he's out and his kids run it, and they have this other president of business operations, and they're down to Davidson and Greenberg, and Jamie's like, we're going with Greenberg, and Rocky's like, no, we're not, and thank God for that. And to your point about the McCaskies, I'm seeing, and I might just be seeing things, okay? But I'm seeing like a lot of the same characteristics which got the organization in huge trouble with Stan and John on every conceivable way. They're doing the same playbook, but doing it with Jamie Faulkner. And while you won't have like the criminal psychopath, like bad things that McDonough brought, like you won't have like the lowest of the low things that came with him, but you're still going to have major issues. If no one ain't willing to be like, it should be Danny. And in this, the GM case, allegedly, if I've been told that by two different competing, like people who don't necessarily like each other, that don't talk to each other, told me the same thing, that it was a Rocky veto that ultimately gave it to Kyle. But if it's, you're on the other end of the spectrum, but it seems like they have the same kind of problems, like to what you're saying. So yeah, like they need someone who can be in that room and be like, no, like that's a bad idea. And it should probably be Danny. Like Danny's the CEO. He's been connected to the team forever. And
it's just tough, man, because he's doing the right thing. Like you don't want that Jerry Jones bullshit, but at the same time, like, dude, you got to hire the right person,
right? But let her run the business.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Like she can, you want to use your analytics and be like, hey, we got to target these types of people with these types of ads and cut the budget here. I'm sure she's great at that. But she's from Texas and she's not like a hockey person. She probably doesn't have, how could she, an appreciation for what Edzo really means to this city and this fan base, which is substantial. So if she's just like, fuck this guy, someone has to be like, no.
Yeah.
We don't say fuck this guy. We find a way to make it work.
But it was just such an easy time to say fuck this guy. The same year as Foley, the same year there was so much turnover.
But I would say it's the opposite.
I would definitely say it's the
opposite.
opposite.
It's like, if you're going to rip the Band-Aid off, rip it off. That's how I see it.
But
so
then
I disagree.
don't come at me and say we're blindsided. We thought we had a verbal. We thought we had this, and then there's going to be something coming out where it will directly contradict those statements.
Yeah.
So
maybe
like, don't
Bad
tell
look.
me. Yeah, and just and also, and these tweets, the tribute, thank you, so best of luck your future endeavors. Just be authentic and tell the truth. And they're
performative.
Now, on the flip side, if you want to have, like, if someone wanted to look at from the Blackhawks perspective here and be like, hey, there's more from our side you guys don't know. Is there an element here where maybe Edzo kind of was a little more hard on his negotiation side? Because he knows, like, hey, they're like, there's been so many fuck ups. There's been so many things I haven't liked. I'm not going to go easy on. There's not going to be any hometown thing from me.
Ultimately, I don't think it was about the money for him. I really don't. Based on conversation, like the offer was like insulting. The term was insulting. And like that deal that they have with Comcast, NBC Chicago, whatever, that's up in 2 years. And what I've heard is that that's just either somebody like Root or Bally's is going to come in and buy it, but I think it's highly likely that it's just all streaming, and like maybe the Blackhawks just stream it through Blackhawks.com, or they have their own app. And they just do multiple like they'll do so, like I think that channel's days are done. So, but you could say like, oh hey, like or we're gonna have Bally's. Somebody comes in and buys it because they've always owned 20 to 40% depending on the breakdown, and we don't want to. If they're gonna be, Bally's gonna buy it, we want those contracts on their books, not ours, and that makes sense too. But you just gave Vossers a 5-year deal, and the year before that, you gave Colby Coleman a 5-year deal. So, like, don't tell me about that. Don't try to spin it that way either, which is something that's been kind of leaked as a theory too. And it's just nothing really adds up. And I would love it if they would come down here and sit with us, and we can kind of have we'll talk about it. We'll get to the bottom of this. But I think there's this tendency where like the Wirtz family usually takes the high road, I would say, and I think Edzo takes the high road. And it's like they trade leaks about things, but no one will ever come out and just say it. Just come out and fucking say what happened. Just say it, and then everybody can move on.
That's not how the real world works.
That's not how
it should be. It should be
Yeah,
how it works.
But it's just
That's how I work. I just say what I just say what I think is true, and I think that's what people should do. And I think that would be like, hey, and it can be both things. Like we thought Edzo was being unreasonable about this, but we also fucked it up. And so it's like a little bit of blame on him, which he definitely deserves, and a little bit of blame or a lot more blame, I would say, on the Blackhawks, which they definitely deserve. And both parties just own it, and we can all just move on. But this was not the time to get rid of Edzo. And I love Edzo. And he's like, and I've heard things where you're like, oh, they want to skew younger, they want to do this. Well, I did that Spaces with thousands of people. We had 19-year-olds to 55-year-olds. And if you're talking about the Gen Z, he's their hockey dad. They grew up on the Dynasty. He called all their games. They don't know any other broadcasters. The stop it right here. All you young hockey players, all those like the little teaching moments.
Yeah.
He is their hockey dad. And you fired him. And he's a local guy and a fucking legend and a good person. He beat cancer here. All the things. Just fucking make it right. And just give him, and it's not, he was not asking for the moon. I know that for a fact. And you could have just had him in. And it sucks. It's just like one thing after another. Just when you think there's just like no more drama left this summer. Like they're not trading Kane this summer. And we're just going to, I like the coach. We're just going to go into the season. The season's going to suck. But at least there won't be any more like fucking headaches. It's been a headache for years now. And it gets worse all the time.
What if more headaches are to come?
I mean, I think I'm prepared for it at this point. Like, what are you talking about? Like Kaner?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have this feeling that he's not going anywhere.
What if?
Yeah, it would be sad. I mean, is that what you want to hear?
Sad. What if?
Yeah.
We have a huge event we're going to as we record this. It's National Hot Dog Day. This is a big opportunity for everybody across the city of Chicago to get some dogs. Everything else, what else you got, Chief?
Nah, that's it I got on them. I mean, it's, we do have to get going. So it's it's just like they make it very hard to be a fan. I'll just say that. It's hard. Like, you want to find new fans, you better.
I have said this.
I mean, I'll just be. So the
Sox.
report came out today. The Cubs are the second highest, most expensive team to watch a baseball game. They're 21 games under 500. They lost 10 of their last 11. They're 15th in payroll. They're going to trade away Wilson Contreras. They don't have anybody. They got nothing going on, man.
Hey, you know what?
I had to bring up one thing.
The only thing that can happen is if Correa opts out and the Ricketts pony up some cash, they throw it around. Like we're here again. They got us by the balls. It's just the way it is. I don't know. Like, we're gonna come to Bears season and like, what's gonna happen? We're gonna be sitting there week 6, fucking. Whoa, what the fuck? It's the life of fucking Chicago sports fans, man.
Thank God for not enforced.
I have 3 updates that have came through over the last hour or so that I would like to touch on.
Wow.
Wow.
Touch or
Yes.
mention?
So about 10 days ago, there was rumors by Bob Nightingale that the White Sox clubhouse was in disarray. I shot a couple messages out to the few players I know, and they literally had not a clue what they were I was talking about, and I could just tell by their tone. I talked to one of them on the phone. He's like, dude, whatever this shit is wrong. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Got this message today, and granted, you have to take this with a large grain of salt. It came through the DMs. From earlier this year, my son and I were trying to get an autograph from Keuchel. My son is 6 years old. He walked right past all the fans. Minutes later, name redacted, another pitcher came over and told him Keuchel is a bad man. No one on our team likes him. Is that true? I don't know, but it tends to make me think that Dallas Keuchel was in fact the leak, like Liam Hendricks said earlier. The other thing, after my snake draft performance, of which I was grossly, disgustingly left off the poll.
Acorns, Dave, but continue.
2 different apps have reached out to me, offering me free services for life.
Attaboy, Dave.
What the
Just saying.
fuck?
Attaboy, Dave.
One is actually fucking huge, and I'm very jealous.
TouchTunes is the next one. So I got to pop in a promo code. That one's probably not for life. They just gave me a ton of credits. There you go.
and then somebody else gave you.
I'm not allowed to talk about that one. I was specifically not allowed to talk about
It's
it.
fucking
But
good, though.
It's
tell me
huge.
later.
All right,
I
so
showed it to Ed.
Nothing like a classic White Sox Dave leaving the audience out. The audience listened to a full show. They got to this point, and you were like, "Oh, by the way, you guys aren't good enough to fucking know."
But he
just-
specifically
but you'll
told me
know.
that he would get in trouble if I talked about this publicly. So
Okay.
I can't.
Sounds like a
But credit
big
to you.
deal.
Yeah.
So credit to you for the leak, but not revealing your source.
Yeah.
All right, you got left
Fuck
off.
Dallas
You got
Keuchel.
left off the fucking poll, though. man.
Yeah, but I got free for life, basically. Ed? Did I show you, Ed?
Yeah. Wait,
Did
why
you
are you
just
giving
leak-
this
you
up?
just said it out loud.
All right, no, not TouchTunes, rather. TouchTunes.
So the other one's got to be.
Yeah, we got to redact that.
All right, that's a show. Everybody have a good day.
I was like, wait, what?